We got a bit of a Two Guys Named Chris follow-up yesterday on this program. We told you the story of Mary O'Connor. If you live anywhere in Florida, you might know her name. She was the chief of police in Tampa. Yesterday, after the program ended, she submitted her resignation. We heard the story. We talked about this yesterday morning on our program. There was an unusual traffic stop in Pinellas County. Mary was the passenger in a golf cart. Her husband was driving on a public road last month, but the cart did not have a license tag. So a deputy pulled over the cart. Mary flashed her badge and told the deputy, quote, "I was just hoping you'd let us go tonight."
We have the audio now. We have the body cam
From the body
audio
cam.
from the body cam. You mentioned it yesterday. So this is the body cam. The deputy, who's not in her department, he's in the sheriff's department. She's the police chief.
Yep.
So they're two different things. And he comes up to her and says, "There's no tag on this." And she said just exactly what you just reported.
Stopped you because you driving an unregistered vehicle with no tag on it.
Is your camera on?
It is.
I'm the police chief in Tampa.
Oh, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'm hoping that you'll just let us go tonight.
Now that you say you look familiar, so.
Yeah, I'm sure I do.
All right, folks. Well, have a good night.
So
All right,
sorry
take care.
to bother you.
All right, no worries. No worries. It was nice meeting you.
All right. You ever need anything, call me.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours.
Thank you.
So, take care.
There it is. Okay,
Mary,
that's it.
Mary. She only had the job. She got the job in March, so now she's out. Didn't even make it out a year.
You know, I can't defend this, but I'm not that mad at her over this. I just am not. I don't know why I feel that way.
Well, I do.
Why?
Because you yourself have done this.
Well,
I mean,
The
without
privilege card?
yeah, without saying it, but I mean, you have kind of waved the "I'm Chris Kelly."
Yes.
You've, I believe, you've done it once when you were pulled over for running a stop sign, and you also drove through a crime scene.
Active crime scene, yes.
Yeah.
But he said, "Hey, do you have your head up your ass?" Remember, I drove through the crime scene. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just
but you
going.
weren't rousted. You weren't handcuffed.
I was not. I was not. That's right. But the thing about that, the inside game, like she's like, "Is your camera on?" And he said, "Yes." So she knew she was going to be recorded. She said, "I'm the chief of police in Tampa." Now, don't you think that this happens sometimes where somebody pulls somebody over, and let's say it's a big celebrity. Let's say it's Tom Cruise. He's like, hey, how are you? I'm Tom Cruise. Is there any way we can forget this? And the guy's like, "Hey, yeah, it's okay. We'll forget." I mean, many times we as just regular citizens
People
say,
do get breaks.
yeah,
And
you just
and you
say,
never know
"Can
why.
we-" Plus, she's the passenger in a golf cart that doesn't have a tag on it. I mean, that's the crime. It's so little. She should never have used her influence, of course. But to me, the deputy is in the wrong too. You know, he could have said, "Well, I can't let this go. I'm sorry." And she's not really using her influence because she doesn't control his department. And she just is a bigwig in the city.
No, but she is a more powerful figure in law enforcement.
city.
A chief of police in a city the size of Tampa.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
I mean, you could almost see where it would be like a superior leaning on.
You're right. You're right.
Someone who's lower down the food chain.
It's true. I don't think she should lose her job over it. I think they should suspend her for a couple of weeks and say bad judgment and give her another
You're
chance.
supposed to be held to a higher level.
Well,
Higher
remember,
standard.
she wasn't
Yeah.
fired. She quit.
But don't you think because she felt the pressure? I think she felt the pressure building and didn't want to fight.
Or maybe
You're right, though. They didn't fire her.
it's a bad
They didn't
look.
fire her.
She's chief of police, so she wasn't elected in there. She was probably appointed by
Appointed there.
a city council or whatever. Maybe they leaned on her and said, maybe it's best if you.
I think they probably.
Resign.
Now, I don't know this, but I bet they said we're going to have to take action unless you resign, and they let her save face by resigning.
The officer also could have lied and said, no, it's not on, and then see what happens.
They could have
And record anyway.
But I mean, she knew it was on, and yet she still said, "I'm hoping
Maybe she
we
was
can-"
hoping it wasn't.
Well, maybe, but you know, I mean, many of us have said, no matter who we are, boy, is there any way we can just
I'm
let
running
this
late
go?
for work.
Yeah,
Yes.
can we just let this go?
There's all kinds of discretion, but when it's
And chief of police,
Yeah.
it's different.
That's the punishment.
Chris, you're talking about the chief. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah. So I was a cop for several years. She did it the wrong way. She flat out asked, "Hey, I'm the chief. Can you not do this?" The way that we kind of always did it whenever I was working was you carry your gun with you off duty. If you get stopped, you're like, "Hey, here's my ID. Also, by the way, I have my gun on me. Here's my ID to show, I'm a law enforcement officer. That's why I've got my gun."
All right.
And then it's up to them. They can say, "No, I'm going to write you a ticket," or they can say, "Hey, just slow it down or get it fixed," whatever the situation is.
go.
You're not asking for anything.
You're right. I bet if she had just said what you just did, I bet he would have said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize who you were. Let's just get it fixed. Let it go." And by the way, he didn't even say fix it. He said, nice to meet you and have a nice night. He didn't even say, hey, get that taken care of as soon as possible, you know. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Do you think she should be fired over it? I wasn't that mad at it. I don't know why.
No, I think this is such a minor thing. I think her getting fired and resigning is just like way overkill. I mean, this happens.
I do too.
Hundreds of times a day, every day in the country.
To everybody. I mean, everybody says, is there any way? I'm running late, whatever, you know, can we just let it go? I just feel like, I mean, she did quit. They didn't make her quit, but I feel like she felt the pressure to quit. And so I feel like they should have suspended her and said, let's give you another chance on this. I just didn't think it was that big. If she was going 100 miles an hour and said, don't you know who I am? Let me go. But it's a
the body camera didn't make her
infraction.
look any better. I mean, is your camera on? I'm the chief of police.
Yeah, but if he had said, when he said yes and she followed through with it, I was stunned. It's like you'd think if he said yes, she'd go, oh, okay, then let's do this by the book, you know, instead of saying I'm the chief of police. Instead, I just didn't think it was that major of an infraction. I have a friend who's a police officer, and he said he watched a lady just blow by him at about 83, 85 miles an hour in a 65-mile zone. He's like, she is just running all over. And then he said, she's going to be reckless because I know she's taking this exit, and she did, and she was reckless. So he pulled her. And he walked up, and she said, I know. She goes, I know. I am late for getting my nails done. And she said, I know. I am speeding, and I am wrong, and I am completely reckless, and you've got every right to throw the book at me. And he said he really appreciated that, so he only wrote her up for speeding, not for the reckless driving, you know. Yeah. And so he's like, you know, I appreciate her being honest, so I gave her a little bit of a break on that. And she's getting her nails did. So that was all there was to it. I don't know. This didn't make me that mad. I don't know why, but it didn't make me mad. Y'all want her gone? You want her out?
I don't want her out. I don't think she has to be out, but I think she needs to address it. She should have addressed it.
I agree. But didn't she? I mean, didn't she the next day say, I used poor judgment and, it won't happen again?
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, to me, it was like, okay, 2-week suspension, and that's, don't do that again.
Yeah, but if you're the chief of police, you're supposed to be held to a higher code.
You are.
And if some of your underlings, your regular beat officers are out there and they do something wrong, how can you sit there and say, look, you're going to be punished?
Oh, I know.
You weren't.
Well, I want a punishment, just not a
I think the higher up the food chain, the higher up the job, the more responsibility you have.
Then she's got to go.
It's supposed to be.
It is. It is that way. Fire Dude, you wanted to comment on this Tampa chief of police. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning. The reason she ended up resigning was because she got caught driving drunk a few years ago, and she got jammed up for that, and they let her come back.
Man, you own me just as bad as the soccer guy did 10 minutes ago. You absolutely own. Well, in that case,
I didn't know
that's
that.
it. Okay, well, if it's strike two, then that's it.
That did not come up yesterday.
If that is the case, and you're right, then I agree. Then she's got to be gone because she was given a chance. Now she's chief of police after a drunk driving thing 4 years ago. She shouldn't have been put in the position.
She may have been drunk, even though she was a passenger.
She was a passenger
in that cart.
Yeah, possible. But
she could have been drinking then.
Well, but the problem is the tag. Not if she's drunk in the cart, doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, it's like another Onion headline.
Man, twice. That's twice in 15
Habitual
minutes.
lawbreaker upset over police chief's firing.
I know. Mister, I go by the letter of the law.
I'll tell you, the Onion should hire me today.
They really should. That's two. You got
to get side hustle.
Let me ask you this, Fire Dude. But now here's something I do wonder. I think the deputy is just as, not as bad, but it's like he should have at least said, well, you need to get that fixed. He just immediately like, oh, nice to meet you. That kind of thing. What do you think, Fire Dude? Should he have any problems?
Yeah, he should get at least get a good talking to, because if it had been anybody else, they'd have got a ticket.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that they should tell him, hey, you cannot look the other way just because it's the police chief or whoever it might be, because he did. He looked the other way. Thank you, Fire Dude.
And as the caller said before, sometimes even police chiefs carry their guns on with them when they're off duty. Yeah. What if she had her gun on her and didn't say anything about it and had been drinking and was in this golf cart? I mean, it could have led to more things coming up.
It could have, but
that didn't go that way because they were both overly gratuitous at the end of that whole series.
They were. But you're placing things on her like that she was drunk. We don't know. We don't.
I'm not saying that, but we'll never know. She may have been, and if he'd have done his job, we'd have found out.
Well, she sounded pretty coherent, and even if she was drunk, she wasn't breaking any rules.
I'm drunk now and sound coherent.
I know that. But even if she's dead drunk, she's not driving. She's okay, right? A police
not if she's got a gun on her.
You can't be drunk with a gun? Okay.
I don't know. It's different, isn't
What
it?
country? What country is it?
That's the First and the Second Amendment.
Right. Right, Dave. I don't know. But
I don't know either.
The first caller may be right. She should have said, here's my ID, here's my gun. And then he realizes, and it's okay, we'll get this fixed.
But now if she has a history of drinking,
well, then,
that may have been why that really pushed her to resign.
She should never have been chief. If she had anybody that's got a drunk driving thing, can you go and be the chief of police?
From what I read this morning, that she had made some positive changes in Tampa,
and they
in
liked
a short
her
time
in a short time,
or, in the position.
Well, the whole thing's unfortunate then that if she was good for the job and now she can't have it anymore.